And Kevin Miller with you here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We go to our great friend David Horowitz. Mr. Horowitz, good to have you with us once again.
Thanks.
Well,
nice to be in Idaho.
Well, first off, your reaction to the horrible school shooting in Florida, sir.
Look, I mean, it's just heartbreaking to have, all these kids murdered. This guy was a lunatic. His lunacy took him into very left-wing causes. Our world is divided in a terrible ways these days, and he glommed onto it. But there's no solution to these things except there should be armed guards in every school. But that's kind of it. What else can you do? It's so pathetic to watch the Democrats and the liberals call for gun controls like the gun did the shooting. They're always to kill people. And a demented person like this will find a way. I mean, it could be a bomb. It could be much worse than a gun and kill a lot more people. So I'm just sick of these left-wing politicians, trying to take away people's guns. I think Tucker Carlson is right. This is a class war. It's liberal elites in California and New York and the coastal cities who hate the center of the country, who hate places like Idaho, who hate rural people. And I think in Trump, rural America has an answer. And it's not just rural America, because Trump's the border, and I live in Los Angeles. But we have a war on in this country, a political war. And, I sure hope our side wins.
Well, it is a challenge when you have the tenacity of the left. David, as you know, you've been fighting them for years on college campuses and everywhere else. How would you gauge the strength of the efforts against the president?
Well, I think the left is very, very powerful. I've written an essay. We printed it as a pamphlet called "How the Left Uses Race as a Weapon Against Our Country." This is just one of their weapons, but it's a very powerful one. Civilizations die when they cease to believe in themselves. America has an inspirational creed, which is that we are a beacon of freedom, that we are a country based not on ethnicity or race or national origin like other countries, but on a set of principles which make the individual important, individual freedom, individual accountability. And the left, that's the Democratic Party, has attacked that creed. So, I mean, they have what they call identity politics, where they judge you by your skin color and your gender and your ethnicity. America, they use, for example, slavery. America is built on slavery. No, it isn't. America freed the slaves. Black slaves were enslaved by other blacks in Africa. White people didn't go to Africa and throw debts over the kid thing. They bought slaves at slave auctions that were run by blacks in Africa. And this has went on for thousands of years until white Christian males, Wilberforce in England, and Thomas Jefferson in the United States said that all men are created equal and have a right to liberty. And within one generation, America abolished slavery. So the truth is that black Africans enslaved each other, and white Americans, mainly 350,000 Union soldiers who gave their lives, freed the slaves. So Americans should really be proud about their history of slavery in their country. We're the liberators. But the left, the whole left, wants to portray us as white supremacists and white racists and white nationalists. And, you know, that's an attack on the heart of our country. And people have to be aware of that.
And David Horowitz, if people want many of your books or to get this pamphlet, what can they do?
It's easy to get at frontpagemagazine.com or frontpagemag.com, and you just put the mag.com after front page, you get it. That's the easy way to get it. But, you know, people have to recognize the Democratic Party is a racist party. It controls every inner city of size in America, every killing field, Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, St. Louis. Controls them 100% and has for 50 to 100 years. Every oppression in the inner city, everything that's wrong, every carnage, Democrats are 100% responsible for their policies because their policies have been in place for 50 to 100 years.
David Horowitz, we appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Back to the topic at hand.
Step up, be a man, and talk about it, and stop thinking about the NRA and your next campaign donation. Just stop. Everyone knows what you're doing, and it's time. That does it for us this morning. Stephanie Ruhle picks up the coverage right now.
Thanks so much, Mika. Thanks, Joe. And to Marco Rubio, you don't have to step up and be a man. Step up and be a human.
Words of consolation, talk about mental health, are simply not enough. They must be followed by real action. The president has to lead or get out of the way.
The people have got to say enough is enough. We're not continuing with all these massacres. And we've got to have the representatives of the people in the halls of government respond to that.
And there we have it. Let's get back to your calls. Let's go to Tom in Nampa with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Kevin. Question. Do you know...
Right turn. On to SMT Boulevard.
NAVCOM. Do you know up until the Las Vegas shooting, what was the biggest mass murder in U.S. history?
Right turn. And then right turn.
No, I don't. I guess your land nav is on.
Yep. Can't find my way out of a phone booth without it. Anyway, it was back in the last century, in the 70s. It was called the Heavy Land. Let me turn that silly thing off. It's called the Heavy Land Dance Fire. 72 people were killed. You know how the guy did it? Set the place on fire. No guns involved.
Your destination is ahead on the left.
That's the first time I really, really hated that thing.
Destination. Route guidance is now finished.
You still there, or am I getting completely cut off?
We didn't cut you off, brother. We were just waiting for the land nav to stop.
That's the first time that thing has ever really ticked me off. Anyway.
Back to your point, Tom.
Yeah. 72 people are killed in a fire. All the guy used was 2 gallons of gasoline and a match. Where was the outrage? Is it somehow worse to be shot than to be burned alive? This lunatic was posting stuff all over the web. Okay, fine. Did he commit any crimes before he started shooting? As I've heard the reports and stuff, he didn't commit any crimes. Are we going to now start arresting people because of what they say? Because I'm looking at the rap industry, and they're talking about murder and rape a lot. Shall we arrest all of these people? Are we going to arrest people because they're, quote, acting crazy? Well, there's a whole lot of street people all over the country that are acting crazy. I've heard people talk and run their mouths about, we need this law, we need that law. Fine. How are you going to do it? Like I said, are you going to arrest people because they're talking weird stuff? given, some of the things I've seen Nancy Pelosi say, we might want to start with her because she's in a position of power that can cause trouble. Unless they commit a crime, you can't do anything. So far as I know, this guy didn't commit any crime until he started shooting. So what laws are they going to pass? We need to restrict gun laws. Okay, shall we have some laws restricting opiates? Because they're killing how many Americans every day? Should we have the gun laws they have in Chicago or Los Angeles? Please, somebody tell me a law that would prevent this. I would like to hear it. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm missing something here. But can anybody name me a law that would have prevented this? Because if somebody says, if he didn't have a gun, he wouldn't have done this, how are you going to prevent somebody from getting a gun when you can't prevent them from getting dope?
Well, you bring up a great point about, are we going to arrest the rappers, the game developers, the people that devalue human life?
I just look at all this stuff and I'm going, are we going to ban, you remember last year that lunatic decided to drive along the sidewalk in New York, killed, 7, 8 people and wounded another 7 or 8? Shall we ban cars? Or the Boston bombers that used a pressure cooker? Are we going to ban kitchenware? A bad guy's a bad guy. Then, they will fight. Like I said, a gallon of gasoline, you set a building on fire. Question. That football coach stood up. Tough son of a gun. What would have happened if he'd been authorized to carry a sidearm at school? Think maybe this would have come to a better conclusion if he had been armed?
I would agree with that statement, Tom.
You know what the really weird thing is? I'm sitting in the parking lot of the Caldwell DMV to get my concealed carry permit renewed. Talk about weird timing.
As you should.
I am. Stay safe out there, guys, because there are some bad, bad people out there. And the cops, God bless them, cannot be everywhere. You got to take care of yourselves. You got to take care of your family.
Well, and you heard at the top of the hour that was, 6 minutes?
Yeah. I'm just so tired of the politician using anything to get reelected. These people have any decency. Do they care about anything but themselves and their position? Because I don't think they do, honestly. You talked about Horowitz talked about the left being determined to advance their cause. I think it's more like OCD. Honestly, they are fixated on certain points: gun control, abortion, unfettered immigration, to the point of mental, they want this stuff. You can't talk to them about it. There's no reason involved. It's just, we want this, we're going to get it. And anything that gets in our way is inherently evil. I went, okay, fine. Kind of hard to, use logic and reason with that mindset. Anyhow, you guys go out and have a wonderful day.
Tom, God bless. More of your calls next. Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. We go to David in Boise with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, David.
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. I had a couple ideas from a couple of your callers and also just the issue at hand. But ultimately, people are looking for resolutions as to how to solve this. And you're talking about hardening a target, which I agree with, and I think that teachers should be allowed to carry, especially those ones that opt in. And I saw in Trump's statement that he's going to meet with governors and attorney generals at the end of the month, and I think that we should put some type of concerted effort together to send a message that we would like to have teachers and or administrators and or some additional security offered in our schools. And, I don't know necessarily if we have anything that's particular in the works, but I know at that Second Amendment Association, they had done a lot of lobbying here locally to get the constitutional carry. And I don't know if that's something that we could carry over into those gun-free zones here locally, where you had a caller yesterday that was saying that the gun-free zones, having to abide by federal standards and regulations and funding through the government, that ultimately those gun-free zones are unconstitutional. So ultimately, I don't think it would be a difficult lobby for us to go ahead and push to get those removed, to allow at least administrators the opportunity to carry. But in addition to that, teachers, if they opt in and were trained to carry. And even beyond that, maybe those with prior military training that are now educators could have the opportunity to carry. But I think all those are viable options that would harden a target that could be done very quickly.
I really think it comes down to, people being comfortable with guns. Some people are, some people aren't, and we're hearing from the people that aren't, that believe that banning something is going to keep us safe. Well, there are a lot of things that are banned, and crimes still happen. Drugs are banned. Crimes are banned, and it still happens, David.
Well, we seem to be such a pro-gun state in general, and obviously Boise's a little different with some more progressive leanings in terms of our city government. However, it does seem with the president being more pro-gun that a legislation, not even a legislation, but just the opportunity for us to abide by the constitutional rights that are offered to us to remove those gun-free zones, because ultimately, we're not going to pass something banning the Second Amendment, which I don't, I agree with the Second Amendment. I believe we should have the right to bear arms. So with that being said, the quickest way to resolve this is to follow the constitutional laws, which would be working with an organization like that Constitutional Carry. I know that he worked for a few years to get that, intact, but it seems like a situation like this in a state like Idaho should be the perfect opportunity. And with someone like Raul Labrador, who most likely will be our next governor, he, as far as I understand, is rather pro-Second Amendment. And so we could lobby towards him as well. But, I've worked in about 40 different schools in the Valley, and I can tell you that the security is poor. And I've, post these shootings numerous times, have considered how many kids are at risk and at what points they're at most risk in those schools. And it's bad. I mean, what we've seen up to this point is really nothing of what could happen if somebody knew how schools operated. And, it's scary. I've got 3 kids in the public school system, and they're not safe.
We're hearing a lot of that today, David. Thank you for the call.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. And, we're getting a lot of feedback. This is where where it starts. 8:26, traffic and weather together.
Now is the time for this country to have a real conversation on sensible gun control laws in this country. Now is the time.
How do we make sure when a parent is ready to send their child to school that in Florida, that parent knows that child is going to be safe? Number 2, how do we make sure that individuals with mental illness do not touch a gun?
I just really don't know what the body count needs to be before people in Washington, D.C. give a rat's ass about the people in this country and their children.
Kevin Miller in the morning. We continue on taking your phone calls at KIDO Talk Radio. Stephen Meridian, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Thanks for the call. Hey, Kevin, I don't know if it's what's going on, but you seem a little down in energy today. Hopefully you're feeling okay, buddy.
Well, I appreciate that, Steve. With a topic like this, you just kind of go into a monotone form and you just listen more than perform.
I figured as much. Well, thank you for the call. The reason I'm calling is I know I'm agreeable to most of your callers in that it's not a gun control issue. We know that, obviously. And yet, unfortunately, we magnetically get attracted to the comments of political elected people, even though we could take things to a better level on a grassroots level and discuss what really is the issue. It's not gun control. It's not even just a question of identifying it as, quote, mental health or mental sickness. The real question we must all ask ourselves is, okay, how do we define, recognize, and do something about mental sickness? I mean, gunpowder has been around for 1,000 years, and there were murders way before gunpowder. You got the Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, all these things. There's going to be weapons in the future, maybe laser guns, I don't know. And what are they going to outlaw things at every level? The first murder ever, Cain killed his brother Abel in the field. Is it illegal to walk in the field by yourself with your brother? I mean, at what point in time do people stop squabbling about the surface issues? My heart goes out to the 17 people who died. I can't imagine the horror of that. But when you look at our country, I mean, murder and gun violence and stuff isn't even in the top 10 of how people die. The real issue is not just, gun control, mental health, but it's always to define what that is. And here is the answer. It always comes back to this: a lack of quality information about moral, ethical, and spiritual reality. And I would propose that information is in the Bible, and it's lacking in our country. Hence the troubles increasing, hence the conversations and arguments about peripheral issues that don't really matter. Do we spend the next 3 days in this country talking about 17 deaths, or do we talk about the 600,000 people who die every year from heart disease and then cancer, et cetera, et cetera? Yes, you can arm people in schools. Yes, you could identify somebody posting something crazy on Facebook. Yes, you could stop a 19-year-old punk idiot from getting an assault rifle. Yes, those are all facts that can be addressed. But the reality is our country is lacking a number of growing people in this generation and the upcoming generations of people who are properly informed how to detect evil and how to get out of the way of it, what to do about it. And that's what I had to say this morning, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Steve, thank you. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning.
We are here for you, whatever you need, whatever we can do to ease your pain.
Great. Okay, what we need and what you can do to ease our pain and to prevent future pain is something. 8 out of 10 Americans agree that a teenager shouldn't have an AR-15. So why does a teenager legally have an AR-15? Somewhere along the line, these guys forgot they work for us, not the NRA, us. And this time, we're not going to allow you to bow your head in prayer for 2 weeks until you get it all clear and we move on to the next one. We're going to make sure you do something this time. And if you agree with me, and maybe you don't, but if you do, here's one way you can help. Go to everytown.org. All the information you need is there, and you can write to your representatives and call them. And if they don't listen, vote them out of office. Whatever you do something. Because I, for one, am very, 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 very tired of this.
It's entirely premature to be discussing about legislative solutions, if any.
It's just not the time to dive into the politics and try to score political points.
I think anybody who would politicize this shooting should be ashamed of themselves.
This is not the time to have the discussion, and it's frankly, I think, insulting to the American public right now to try to politicize something.
The reaction of Democrats to any tragedy is to try to politicize it.
I'm more than happy to talk about this in a few days. Right now is not the time.
There's a time and place for a political debate, but now is the time to unite as a country.
This isn't a guns situation. I mean, we could go into it, but it's a little bit soon to go into it.
Yeah, no, it isn't. We'll be right back.
There we have it from Jimmy Kimmel last night. Kevin Miller in the morning here. KIDO Talk Radio, taking your calls. Let's go to Eric in Cuna. Eric, good morning.
Hey, morning, Kevin. Yeah, oh man, I'm glad I don't watch regular TV anymore. Let's get the real problem. It seems to me, really, what it really comes down to is bad parenting and not teaching our children to value life in all the different ways. There's endless ways to teach kids how to value life. I mean, take your kids up skiing, and you're just saying blue skies and fresh powder, man, that sounds great. I wish I could go and take the kids. I mean, today, that would be great. But anyway, there's many ways to teach kids how to value life, and in this world, especially in this world we live in today, where our kids are just bombarded with endless garbage that seems to be just to want to create apathy in everybody. Apathy. No empathy. And empathy, if there's no empathy, man, what do we got in this world? But back to the guns, just hearing that guy talking about AR, we're going to get rid of the AR-15. These people don't have any knowledge of the legality or of guns in general, because a person can take a bigger hunting rifle, like a 270 or a 7-mag or something like that, and it's a wooden gun. It looks like a hunting rifle. It's a semi-automatic, though. You could put a little clip in it, and it could be a bigger gun, a lot more powerful, and do a lot more damage than a little 223 AR-15. You know what I'm saying? I mean, AR-15, it's just a hot button word, and I agree with what one of those guys were saying just a second ago that you were playing in that clip about jumping on this bandwagon of talking about the politics of it right off the bat, and what the people that are doing that, they're just keying up everybody's emotions, and they want to get everybody all wound up to do that. What we need to be doing is more people need to be armed, just like you were saying. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, I've hunted on and off, my whole life, and but I don't personally feel the need to carry a gun here in Boise, Idaho. But I have family that does. I have lots of friends that do, and I hope, I want people to be armed. I personally don't feel the need. I need to carry around a gun, but I'm totally glad that there's good people all around me with guns, concealed weapons. That's great. That's what we need. That's what America is. It's freedom. And if we take away our guns, if let's just say Hillary got elected, and she decided she wanted to take away all of the guns, right? Well, then any nation could just step right in and take over. They could, Mexico could invade us, because we wouldn't have guns to defend ourselves. And for people saying, oh, well, okay, take the guns. So do people really trust the government to have all the guns and not any of our citizens? I personally trust regular citizens to have all the guns over the government. So, you know what I mean?
I agree, Eric. I do.
Yep. But hey, great show. And your show's just better every day, buddy. Keep up the good work. I love it.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for your patience. Take care.
Yeah. It was a while. But
well, we appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Let's go to Patriot Ray, who second time around today. Sorry we didn't get to you the first time.
Oh, that's all right. Good show today. I believe it was Eric Holder who said never let a good crisis go to waste. So the left always jumps on a gun issue, and it's always the guns. It's never the perpetrator. It's not the one who committed the crime. Now they're saying, how can a teenager get a gun? Well, in some states at 18, you're an adult. So we just need to be vigilant. We need to stop the government from anybody ever trying to take our guns. The only reason Japan never invaded us in the United States is because they said there was a gun behind every tree. So they didn't want to come here because they thought they would lose. They did anyway, but still, it's a matter of principle. We need to have a way to protect ourselves from a government who maybe goes wild. So, Kevin, you stay fired up. 580 KIDO all the way with Kevin Miller. What a great show. What a great man. Thanks, Kevin, for being there for us, the individuals.
Thank you for listening, Patriot Ray.
All the time. You take care. We'll see you soon. God bless. Take care.
All right. God bless. And in honor of Patriot Ray.
We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly...
That's Eric Holder. Let's try it one more time.
We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Hillary, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Hillary.
Wow. Hey, long-time listener and happy to finally have you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your patience.
Yeah, so I just have two things, Kevy. I love you, and I woke up for this, and Mark's probably already in his building, so I might have missed my moment to let my long-suffering, hard-working, amazing husband who trains at Front Sight, and we have a plan for all kids in the first decade of life. My book's been out in Japan since '07, Kevy. It talks about how we should all be assessing these kids, and when we talk about putting this kid right now, this particular story, on Suicide Watch, I was working with kids after Columbine, so I've been in the trenches 10, 20, 30, 40, I say. 44 years, Kevin, pulling myself up by my bootstraps, and my back's going out on me right now. Personally, I need a Suicide Watch is my joke in the sense that I can't really hear the news anymore. I can't really even listen to you, and I love you. I can't even turn on my favorite, you know, there's a couple guys that I feel like are the grandpas or the dads who want to soothe us all, and I can't even listen to them anymore. So now I'm in this situation where what did I do to distract myself? What are we doing as adults and grandparents? You know, we hand over these little screens to kids. Their brains are on it up to 18 hours a day for the last 18 years. And you want me to go try to talk to a kid like Nicholas Jacob? Of course, it's the same name as my nephew. I mean, you want us counselors to say mea culpa? We failed. How about that? I'll own it all. We failed an entire generation of children, and I'm about to cry. In the last 18 years, Kevin, by handing them these little screens and telling them you're all wired up and we're going to get you iPads in all of your classrooms and you get to watch more violence and be more apathetic, inertia, desensitized. Desensitized. Could you imagine your brain, Kevin, as a little boy in the 70s and you already consumed over 200,000 different violent images? So who are we going to blame? The teachers in the first 5 years? No, it has to be the parents, right? So it has to be the family. So we all have to say mea culpa. And I mean, I literally woke up, I could barely put my feet on the ground, and thanked God I could go into the bathroom and get down to the phone and turn on the radio show, or Mark did that for me, and said, call in and try to reach him and say it's Happy Dog Year and we're done with the crazy bird year in this horrible, angry, vitriolic country that has to find a way to come together. It has to be overtraining kids in the first... That's 2 whole minutes you're letting me talk. Oh, my God. It has to be the first 10 years, everybody. And if we're the last state on the totem pole and there's only 6 of us states who don't want to put any kind of resources or money into the first 10 years or the first 5 years of training our little brains, then you're setting up another generation for failure, so own it.
Well,
Let's all own that.
All right, Hillary, thank you for the call. It comes down to something that no one has mentioned except for Hillary today, the parents. Where are the parents? Two Fly Bry joins us with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Kevin, I've got something healthy for you and amazing.
I saw that on Facebook. I just saw what you sent me. Yes, please share it with the public.
Thank you. At Locust Grove and Fairview in Meridian, to the left of Crunch Fitness, is a little strip mall thing, Fit Donuts. Fit Donuts. They're low-calorie and even gluten-free donuts. They just had their grand opening today. They are a very Second Amendment-friendly business. Here's what they're doing that's amazing, Kevin. I just talked with Cole, and he is Colt, C-O-L-T, and he is a silent partner there. He's going to be presenting a $25,000 check, and he didn't qualify which specific organization, but that money's going to go to the victims' parents and families of the Florida shooting on Monday. I think he has other fitness or fit donut businesses around the West, and he's going to be opening a few more here in the Treasure Valley. He's from Long Beach originally, a great guy. I just wanted to get the word out that if anybody wanted to come by and enjoy, I have some donuts here. They're beautiful, actually quite well decorated. They're delicious. They're low-cal, something I'm sure you and I would very much appreciate. And it's just, I just want to put the word out. Just an awesome business, and I learned about it. Just chatting with him today. He goes, yeah, I'm going to be putting out, I'm going to be delivering a check on Monday morning. And I'm like, wow. So he's a man with a heart. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, put him in touch with us. Thank you, Chief Flybrye.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Liberal Steve, who joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
Good morning, Miller. Well, the only real fit donut is no donut. We all know that. Now, getting on, you know, that counselor lady that called, America's better than that. We always progress. Yeah, we make mistakes. And yeah, we're in an era that's changing faster than we can keep up with, but we will get ahead of it. We will stay on top of it. In the case in Florida, it's obvious the FBI that knows when the Russians meddling in all our affairs can't find an IP address when it was handed to them. And then you have the local sheriff also who says, well, I never heard about getting the warning on this guy. And then and the grandma in Portland that saved who knows how many children by that brain that was squirming like a toad and had kept a diary on what he was going to do. And she broke her heart, I'm sure, turned her own grandson in. So, yeah, it was all there, Kevin. It just wasn't stopped when it could have been stopped. So, and then for Eric to say, well, I don't have a gun because there's always someone else around that has a gun. I'm sorry, Eric. I'm not going to carry a gun around to protect you. I'm going to carry a gun at all times to protect me, my family, and my closest ones. Not you, Eric. So if you want to be protected as an adult, put a gun in your pocket. Period. And then the other thing, Trump, under the wire last month, vetoed or appealed what the Obama administration had set in place for the mentally ill and trying to get their hands on guns. And he just kicked it away. Now it's gone. Now they got to redo the whole thing if they want to get it back. So, yeah, it's politicians, and it is time to talk politically when these things happen. You don't sweep it under the rug. Now is the time to get fired up and say, let's make a difference. There's tons of retired people like myself that would be happy to sit inside a school hallway like a Walmart greeter and have a scanner and talk to kids and get to know every single kid. And maybe, you know, as an older adult, there's a few that I might say, oh, you know, they're just not right. And I think I'm going to have somebody check them out and talk to them. You know, it's all out there. It's all
Do you
available.
believe that the AR-15 should be banned?
No, because you can make anything automatic. You could. How about the school buses?
What about Jimmy Kimmel?
Oh, Jimmy Kimmel's an entertainment guy, and he's going to, and with this child and everything, yeah, he has his right as an American, and I'm glad he has his right to say that. It's just like Joe Bear talking about Pence being mentally ill because he hears Jesus or talks to Jesus. But nothing stopped Michael Savage from writing a book called Liberalism is a Mental Illness. They didn't say anything. What I'm saying is we're America. We're freedom of speech. Second Amendment to carry weapons to protect ourselves. The Castle Doctrine that they want to get in, which we don't need. You're in your own home.
I don't know about that. I know people that have protected themselves, and then you have the criminals and the police prosecute them.
That's happened to me, Kevin. I told you all about it.
Well, you're
almost
one of them.
40 years ago. So, yeah. But you still don't need it. If you're in the right, Kevin, you don't need it.
Well, you're just going to have to pay a bunch of attorney fees.
That's true, and I've always said, I've told my children, my dad told me, that $15,000 away as fast as you can so you can grab an attorney when you need it and pay for the top attorney. That's a fact of life. It's just like don't use your charge card. Only use it when it's absolutely necessary and pay for it right away. Again, all those are just rules that we learn as children from our parents. So, and Patriot Ray, quit stealing my phrase, stay fired up. I own it. You don't.
Thank you, Liberal Steve. More of your calls next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. To the publisher of the Gem State Patriot, Tea Party Bob, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. What a great show this morning. Got a lot of very good suggestions and interesting comments about guns in our schools. You know, when you think that we have a governor who vetoed a bill for medicinal marijuana, but the legislature is still debating reasonable castle doctrine legislation. We have students in colleges, which we passed a law so they could be safe on the colleges, but they can't have a gun to defend themselves in their dorms or in their rooms. You know, take a look. It's legal for the drug companies to make and sell opioids that kill 60,000 people a year. And it's okay for 30,000 to die each year from drunk driving. But we're not able to protect our children at our schools. Would you say that there's something wrong with the priorities of our lawmakers?
Our lawmakers and others who just let these people run wild and free.
And what's happening now is the Democrats are shouting at the top of their lungs for more gun control, but they don't want to do anything about immigration control, even when we have a president that has given them more than they asked for in pending legislation. Now, everybody should have seen this attack on the Second Amendment rights coming by the Democrats and others, socialist right-wingers. But sure, they are going to use this to bolster their position for the 2018 election. We all know that gun control is not the answer, including most of the Democrats, but it is an issue they are going to continue to blow out of proportion. And Patriot Ray is right this morning. Never let a good crisis go to waste, and that's what they're doing. We need to stand our ground and only elect people who are going to be strong on the Second Amendment rights. Because once those rights that our forefathers put into place to protect us are gone, the radical liberal progressive politicians who would like to take over our country will take over our country, and we will become a socialist state. Because when we lose our Second Amendment rights, we're going to lose this country.
Tea Party Bob, thank you.
Have a great day.
Traffic and weather together. And quickly to Sean. Sean, you're on KIDO Talk Radio. You got about 40 seconds, sir.
Yes, thank you. Hey, Tea Party Bob had it right on the money. This is my first time calling in, but I've been listening to your show for years, and I just never thought I could get on. But, however, if we're willing to invest, and we say that our kids are our most prized possession, then how come we can't put more effort and energy and resources toward protecting them? And I don't even know where, like, the Idaho lottery or the whatever lottery that funnels money into the Boise school system or whatever to help it out. Was that just for books?
Great point, Sean. Call again. God bless.